And we're starting a new series called Made Whole because we really believe that the year starts, a new year, new opportunities, new resolutions. How many of us have put down already what we want to achieve on 2025 that we might have not achieved in 2024, but we're like, this is the year, right? New habits, new jobs, new relationships, new baby. While we pray, let's just pray for some of our team members that really want to get a good job with nice bosses. It's apparently very rare. New relationships, new opportunities, new babies added to the picture. It's just a whole bunch of newness happening. But how many of us know that maybe a lot of those resolutions were also in January 2024? And they just didn't happen. And we can blame the government, we can blame our boss, we can blame the weather, we can blame anything that we want to. But if we really want things to be different this year, we have to commit to do things differently. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and waiting for a different result, so they say. The same with us. The same me with a new resolution that's not equal a different me at the end of the year. And I'm going to say that again. The same you with a new year resolution does not equal a different you. It's just the same person with a different resolution. I'm going to make it practical for you because I love examples. And apparently my husband says when we're arguing that I'm very good at putting examples out there on the table. So let's use that skill for good. The same me that decided in January 2021, I can't even remember what January was, 2021, I think 2022, 2023, 2024, to start gym, guess what? Has put that resolution down again. January 2025, I am going to gym. And I have this feeling that December 2025, if something doesn't change, and that's something being me, I'm going to be the same person with just a new resolution that is going to be put for 2026. Because that is really the year. The same you with a new resolution does not equal a different you. We have to go back to the basic. We have to go back to the original design. We have to go back to God. Because that's the only way that we can actually change. Otherwise, look around your goals. Tell me the goals that you have been trying to achieve for years. And it doesn't magically happen. It doesn't just happen because you wrote it down on your diary. It doesn't even happen when you share it with other people. It actually makes it worse. Because then those people come after you when you said you were going to start gym. How have you started? I'm like, calm down, people. I'll tell you, when I start receiving gym clothes and all that stuff, then I know that I have taken it too far and people really want me to start. I'm kidding. Please don't do that. That will take it too far. Okay. But this year, we want to start a new year with a new resolution, and it's going back to the sign that God has for us. What would our lives look like if we were truly whole and secure? I know it's easy. An easy example for us is to look at our government. What would our government look like? And the governing of this country will look like if the people that were leading it were truly whole and secure. If their desires or their ambitions were not running out of insecurities, but actually are being whole in God. What would your work situation look like? If that place was led by people that were whole and secure. What will traffic look like? What will waiting to find a chair in church when you can't see because praise and worship has started? Yeah, it's the first Sunday, so the service does have a starting time for a reason. But anyway, if I'm flowing out of my wholeness and security, what would it look like? God's plan was always wholeness. Whole, the meaning of whole in the dictionary is all of something undamaged, unbroken, complete. Again, if I have to put those words on 2024, I don't know if they match. My 2024 left me undamaged, unbroken, complete. Some of us couldn't wait for that 31st of December to just run away so that we can start a whole new us. 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 23 says, now may the God of peace make you holy in every way, and may your whole spirit and soul and body be kept blameless until our Lord Jesus comes again. I want to highlight that it says whole spirit and soul and body. Some of us think that if we are whole in our spiritual life, then the rest doesn't really matter. You know, some of us can be very proud of reading our Bibles every day, which is a great and an advisable habit to have. Some of us can say, I tithe. No one needs to convince me about giving my money to Jesus. And we're like so proud about that. I pray. I come to church. That's great. But can we say the same about your soul and your body? Some of us can say very much about our bodies. Have you heard the roar when I say we start in gym and all the gym people are like, yeah, finally. Another one in our club. Those people, they are running on Sunday morning at 5 o'clock. I want to be like you. Don't think yet. But I want to be like you. They like eat well. You know, December, they like never cheat, never do anything wrong. They're drinking the water. They're having the cereal. They're having the shakes. You know? They go to doctor's appointment. They look after their bodies. They never have to keep clothes away because it doesn't fit. You know what I'm saying? There is those kind of people somewhere around here. We're not going to put our hands up. But there's some people that are really committed to be whole in their bodies, which is great. But can they say the same about the other aspect? Some of us are really committed to be whole in our souls, our emotions, our thoughts. We are good at taking a stock. We know when an emotion comes out, we can quickly identify what was the trigger. What happened? Where did it come from? How can I fix it? How can I be better? There is really those people out there. Someone's like, what? Can we change our emotions? Yes, you can. You can actually take control of your emotions. There is a fruit of the Spirit called self, which means controlling your... I know it sounds very obvious, but it isn't. It's not a fruit that abounds. Unless it's a different service. And as you go on your way out and you try to make your queue to the cafe, you are like self-control. But some of us are really good at being whole in our souls, but maybe we lack in other areas. I want to highlight again that being made whole includes all of it. That Jesus didn't just come for your spirit, he didn't just come for your body, and he didn't just come for your soul, but he wants you to be made whole. And achieving that wholeness in all those three areas, it's quite a challenge. The same verse that I read just now, but in the Amplified version, says, now may the God of peace himself sanctify you through and through. That is, separate you from profane and vulgar things, make you pure and whole and undamaged, consecrated to him, set apart for his purpose. And may your spirit and soul and body be kept complete and be found blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. Faithful and absolutely trustworthy is he who is calling you to himself for your salvation. And he will do it. He will fulfill his call by making you holy, guarding you, watching over you, and protecting you as his own. This is a beautiful promise. That God is with us, that he will protect us, but that his whole plan is always wholeness. Now, wholeness is a process. It's not something that just magically happens. It's something that you have to work on and walk in every day. The Bible gives us a clear example when he says that Jesus loves us so much that he gave his one and only son. That was automatically. As we say yes to Jesus, if you have said yes to Jesus, you automatically start a relationship with him. But there is also a process. The Bible also says that we need to work out our salvation. And working out, again, the gym seems to be coming up a lot. Jesus is speaking to a lot of us, not just me, I'm just saying. You can gym at your house. You don't need to go to a gym. You can run to... Anyway, The process of working out includes some sweat, it includes some stretching, some uncomfortable feeling. It's not just you go to gym, you click I'm in, and then that's it. I work out. No, that's cheating for your medical aid to give you points. That's not how working out works. You literally have to go and interact and make your body work. Some of us treat salvation like that. We got saved. That's it. Click the card. I'm saved now. I'm waiting for heaven. Nothing is required of me. I don't need to do anything. And if you haven't said yes to Jesus, well, I won't see you in eternity, but I'm sorted. It doesn't work out like that. This is the beginning, but it's not the end. This is only the beginning of our walk with Him. If you are still breathing, which we hope that you are, if the person next to you is breathing, if they are not and their eyes are closed, you can just gently, except the pregnant lady, you can't punch her. But everybody else is fair game. If you are still breathing, there's still a work to be done. And can I encourage you to treat your Christian life as such? If I'm still breathing, there is something in me to be done. We understand that for the people around us, don't we? There should be change in this. I'm pretty sure you can tell me 3 things of the person that you are either related to in your family, all those cousins and uncles that you have seen during Christmas and New Year. You can tell me very quickly what they need to work on, what they should be better at, how their marriage should work out better, how they should raise their kids better, right? But can those 3 things be said of you? Can you tell me very quickly 3 things that you need to change on yourself? There is still work to be done. Every day, no matter what your title is, no matter how long you have known Jesus, you can say, I met Jesus last week. You can say, I will say yes to Jesus when this service is done. Or you can say, I've been knowing Jesus for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. The moment that you woke up this morning and opened your eyes and took a breath, that's an invitation to join God in this process of wholeness and saying, yes, God, what do you need to do in me today? Because I don't know about you, but I have realized that I am pretty imperfect. Thank you. I pay him to say that. Otherwise, he will not sleep in our bed tonight. I was going to finish that sentence. That would be cruel. Not letting us sleep in someone is very cruel. But there is a work to be done. And sometimes we need to remind ourselves that if we want real change, if we want to achieve New Year's resolutions, that there is time that we take things a little bit different this year. And not just put resolutions down, but actually start digging in a little bit deeper. God, if your plan is to make me whole, how do I achieve that? Now, December showers in our house, we had a little bit of time off. So normally we try to find a Netflix series with my husband that we can watch together. And that's the deal. Even though he falls asleep, we watch it together. We try to do it when our kids go to bed, because obviously that's our connecting time, not every day. I'll give you all the explanation later, because I know some of you are going to be like, oh, they watch TV. Yeah, don't worry, our marriage is fine. We do watch TV and we do pray together. There is kids in this service. Calm down. You've been on holidays too long. You can see where your brain is going. Yeah. So as I was saying, we got to watch this series together. And now that it's December, our kids go to bed a little bit late. Sorry. We're a little bit, no, actually we're not sorry. It's December, they go to bed late. So, sometimes we have a opening earlier on. So bottom line is we watch a series when our kids are around. Although we tell them it's not for them, they are around in this, vicinity of what we're watching. Our house is only that big. So they're in the vicinity. And then it happens so often. They will be watching something and the music is building up to this moment, right? And as something is going to happen, we have our son next to us. What's wrong? What did he say? Who is she? What is it? And now we have to pause the program and very kindly saying to him, go away. Mind your own business. It's not for you. What are you doing? It takes us too long. It's quicker to say go away than having to explain the whole situation, first of all. Second of all, his brain doesn't supposed to be watching that. Third of all, that's our parenting. Then we say sorry. Don't worry. But there's nothing worse. I don't know if you have ever walked into the cinema and you missed the beginning because the popcorn line was too long. And now you're just trying to figure out what is going on here. Sometimes we treat the Bible like that. We don't read the beginning, and then we're trying to figure out in the middle of the way, like, what is going on? There is a lot that we can learn when we read the beginning of the book, which is Genesis. So a lot of this series is based on Genesis because the plan of God was to make us whole, and it started in Genesis. Genesis 1 and 2. And we get to learn a lot about ourselves through the process too. So according to a pastoral counselor that we got the privilege to learn from and visit and see. And she's also an author, has written books, which is really, really cool. She has a lot of amazing resources. Her name is Matt Day, so that you can go and check it out on YouTube and all those places. There's 3 attributes. I'm saying her name so you don't think that I came up with this. This is the studies. There is 3 attributes that we share as human beings. These 3 attributes are highlighted in Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. And regardless of your sex, your race, your cultural background, your age, we will find that we have these 3 things in common. So let's check it out. The first one, it's love. And some of you are like, oh, yes, that's what I want for this new year. I will not comment on that. Every single human desires to love and be loved. Some of us are very good at pretending we don't need that. But the reality is that we want to love and we want to be loved in return. Genesis 1:27 says that God made us in his image. And the Bible in 1 John 4 also tells us that God is love. Therefore, the moment that he made us into his image, he put this thumbprint of love in us. We didn't come up with it. We just feel it, and we know that we need it. If you have to think about it, a lot of our traumas as people and adults come from a bad relationship with love. Someone that we love and broke our hearts and broke our trust. Someone that's supposed to love us and protect us and didn't. It makes a lot of sense when that's not done right in our childhood, how it plays out as adults. The attribute of love. The second attribute, it's purpose. Every single human wrestles with the question of purpose. There's so many books, if you go to any library about Christians and not Christians, they have written about what am I here for? If you could just answer that question for me, if you could just tell me what I'm meant to be. Am I meant to be a teacher? Am I meant to be a doctor? I'm good with numbers, but I hate people. What am I here for? Sorry, hate's a very strong word. I dislike people. What am I here for? Takes me a different path. And when we have a life crisis, what some of us will say it's at a specific age, I believe that you can have a life crisis when something very traumatic happens to you, when you lose a loved one, when your marriage falls apart, when you get fired from that job that you thought that was your dream and you put your life to it. Your questions go back to, it's what I'm doing and putting my life to really matters. For now and for later. Deep down, we want to know that what we are doing every day and we are placing our time into matters. When my dad was out of the operation from cancer and he was home the first day, the anesthesia was a bit high still in him, all the medications and stuff. So one of the things that he says to me, he said, I'm being given another opportunity. And I want to make sure that I make this count. I want to make sure that what I do with the rest of my life has meaning. That what I do with the rest of my life, that I don't waste it. If God healed me and kept me here because he could have taken him to heaven, there must be something that I have to do. So there is this wrestling inside of us of purpose? What am I doing with my purpose? What am I doing with my life? So number 1 is love. Number 2 is purpose. Number 3 is value. Every single human being wants to know that they have value. Every single human being wants to be valued. Genesis 2 verse 18 shows us that it's a powerful relationship on showing our value. When we come into a relationship with God, He places value in us. And when we see the relationship between Adam and Eve, because before that, Adam said, I can't find help. That was the beginning. I have a husband and a son in the house. If you want something to be found, send my daughter. She's younger than both of them. And my son is a mix between boy and lazy. So he's like, where is that? Because he knows he's going to freak me out and I'm going to get up and do it. So I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, that's when it started. When Adam said, I can't find help. And then God placed Eve next to him. And now it was something good. There is value the relationship plays in our life. First of all, our relationship with Jesus. Second of all the other relationships that come around added to that. That's why sometimes we can see people looking for value in wrong things. Or maybe they're not wrong things, but they're the wrong place to find your value from. If you're going to find your value on how your bank accounts look, on the first week of Jan, you might feel like you have very little value. And if you don't, we definitely want to be your friends. If you want to find your value on how well the relationships go with Jesus, it doesn't really matter what your bank account says. When Jesus says you are loved, and you have purpose, and you are valued, you feel value. You know that you are valued. You could have lost someone that is very important to you, but if Jesus is in your side, it's almost like, maybe I can do this. So there's these 3 things that come into our picture: love, purpose, value. And how God has intertwined those things in us. And maybe you're reflecting and you can see yourself that in one of those areas, yeah, maybe I didn't get that right. Maybe I'm not whole in that area. Maybe there's a little bit of damage and brokenness in one of those areas. But I love how God finishes chapter 2 of Genesis. Verse 25 says, and the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed or embarrassed. I cannot fully comprehend that picture. To be honest, I'm a very reserved person. My husband will probably have the time of his life and be able to make multiple jokes if he was preaching in this verse. For me, I'm like, let's just run it past quickly and just get out of this. Makes me uncomfortable. God plan, God picture is that the man and the woman will be fully naked, yet not ashamed or embarrassed. If you have to think about something, it's probably before 1. I know babies have no problem being naked. And when you start, 1 year old, maybe 2, they start running around and they think it's the fun thing ever to just run around naked. And the adults get a bit uncomfortable and we start like, don't do that. Put on your panties. Put on your nappy, right? You don't see kids saying to kid, you should get dressed. We are the ones, the adults, they are normally embarrassed about the nakedness of someone else. The God's plan, wholeness plan, make sure that included the security of knowing that you can be fully vulnerable in the presence of God. That was the plan. It did not involve anything else but you being fully secure and exposed. Exposed normally has a negative meaning. You're being exposed. What if that was God's plan from the beginning? That we will be exposed constantly. Because when we are exposed, those people, those relationships, our values, our purpose, our love, all get exposed with that. And people can come into our lives and say, hey, are you placing your value into a little bit higher in your relationship dating than you are in God? people can speak into like, hey, 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 are you doing a little bit of silly decisions because of the name of love? Which we all have experienced. Fully exposed, completely and utterly vulnerable, yet at peace. It's not like, and they ran and hide. The running and the hiding only comes after sin enters the world. In this place, they had a relationship with God where God came and they spoke and they walked and they were together. And there was peace. That's wholeness. That's the plan that God has for us. This is how things were meant to be. And this is where God wants us to go back. Yes, we might use, and I hope you do, normal clothes to cover your body. But when it comes to everything else, we should expose ourselves to the people that we have around us, to God. When we come to church, there shouldn't be, when you are on your quiet time, there shouldn't be anything like I'm covering myself up with this Christianese posture of saying that everything that I'm doing is wrong, but actually being exposed in front of God and saying, God, I messed up. God, I'm tired. God, I didn't get this right. God, I shouted at my kids. They weren't listening to me this morning, and I just lost my mind a little bit. Exposed, yet secure. Because we know that God's value doesn't come for the things that we do right or we do wrong. Otherwise, He would have never died for us in the first place. But God's values come because He wants a relationship with us. It is so important for us to understand God's original story and what it means to be human. Because these crucial needs of love and value, only when these things are met in Jesus, we can work a purposeful life. I want to read to you Psalm 18. It's not on the screen, so I'm going to ask you to really focus on my accent. And if you want to write it down so you can read the real version when you get home, you can do that. It's Psalm 18. I dealt with my accent, people. It is what it is. Jesus wants me to preach. I ain't stopping because someone has an accent. If you can't hear him, go to the website on Monday and hear it again, intercede. I don't know, do something. Psalm 18, verse 20 to 24, in the Message Bible, very important, this is a particular translation. It says, God made my life complete when I place all the pieces before Him. When I got my act together, He gave me a fresh start. Now I'm alert to God's way. I don't take God for granted. Every day I review the way He works. I try not to miss a trick. I feel put back together, and I am watching my step. God wrote the textbook of my life when I opened the book of my heart to His eyes. It is possible for us to find a relationship with God and to invest in a relationship with God to a point where we can feel whole again. Whole not because we deserve it. Whole not because we are that clever or that good or because we are more important than someone else. Whole not because we have to prove something. Oh, look how good my marriage is. Instagram photo. We love each other. We're holding hands. But whole because that was God's plan for us. And from there, everything else flow. We all share something. We were broken. We were damaged because of the sin in our life. And it could come to our families and backgrounds and so on. We all have different stories. We share that in common. What would it look like if this church had a congregation of people that realized of that brokenness and came together so they could be made whole? How would it change this church? How would it change your life? How would it change your neighbor's life? Because a person that is made whole acts different, speaks different, treats people different, make choices different. Just think back about a moment where your heart was broken and you made a decision. You probably know that you had to go back and fix that because that was not the right decision. But what if our decisions were marked by wholeness in every area of our life. That's the challenge. This is the beginning of the series, and it's not a quick fix. It's going to be a commitment for us to come together and say, God, this is a process, but I'm going to take the first step. I want to leave you with this question before we pray. What would our lives look like if we were truly whole and secure?